Hi, this is Larry Levin, and welcome to another edition of Cop Talk. With me, as always, our esteemed, distinguished, sage, editor-in-chief emeritus. What's your name again?
Bob Cohn.
Bob Cohn,
Yes.
that's it. And we're here to talk about Jewish issues of the day. Israel's anti-boycott law has been in the news a lot. The bill makes boycotting Israeli products illegal, and several groups from way across the political spectrum, from ADL to J Street, have opposed this measure as a restriction on free speech and say that it's something that a democratic society ought not do. What are your thoughts about
I think it was a piece of demagoguery that blew up in the faces of the sponsors. It was poorly conceived, poorly drafted, and hopefully it'll be withdrawn. Because one of the things those of us who love Israel, are fond of talking about is its free expression, and even for repugnant ideas. So I think it was just a very bad idea across the board.
And certainly Israel wants to be able to distinguish itself from some of the more tyrannical regimes in the Middle East, does it not?
And you can also argue that as a kind of a reverse boycott, a boycott type of thing, that Israel should not be a party to.
The Obama administration continues to advocate for aid to the Palestinian Authority. Is it better to keep the regime in place in the West Bank to encourage further economic development and stability, or better to withdraw and withhold it until the PA leaders can renounce their relationship with Hamas?
I think there's an argument in favor of keeping it going, at least for now, until we know exactly what Hamas's role is in the new arrangement with Fatah and the Palestinian Authority. But if Hamas has a major leading role, and I was disappointed that they vetoed the reappointment of Salam Fayyad, who is the very progressive West Bank prime minister. So I would keep it going for now, but not withdraw it immediately.
And on a similar note, the Arab League now has stated directly that it's going to ask the United Nations to give member status to the Palestinian Authority with East Jerusalem as its capital. Good idea or bad idea, and will it be a successful request?
I want to say this carefully, but I think we should just sort of let it happen. We're going to oppose it vigorously. I will oppose it vigorously. I'll write about it in opposition. But since everyone is in agreement, Likud, Labor, and Kadima, and the Palestinian Authority, even Bibi Netanyahu, let the state come into being, let it come into the United Nations. All the final arrangements talk about some role for the Palestinian state in Jerusalem. And it's going to be in the United Nations at one point anyway. So even if worst case scenario, it gets the votes that it needs and it somehow is made legal, it may not be the end of the world.
How does the East Jerusalem part of it play out?
It's one of the most problematical issues to be resolved, but I think at Camp David, when Bill Clinton had Ehud Barak and Yasser Arafat together, he had the outlines of a pretty sensible shared arrangement plan, shared administration, and even shared administration of the religious sites. So I think it's doable. It just takes a lot of creative thinking.
Is it possible that support for the Palestinian Authority statehood, if you will, could result in a more ostracized Hamas over in Gaza? In other words, when you have a Palestinian government that is now expected to act according to the same kind of structure that all other nations are, is Hamas going to have more pressure put upon it to bring its regime into more kind of democratic standard?
I think if it follows the pattern of Hezbollah in Lebanon, after Hezbollah became a part of the Lebanese government, the Lebanese government was able to restrict Hezbollah from resuming its rocketing into Israel. So they very conceivably could play that kind of role in Hamas as well.
We introduced your new feature, Chronopedia, this week online and in the paper. And soon it will become an online-only, subscriber-only feature. You've gotten great feedback on this new feature, and we know that, of course, you're well-loved, Bob. But why do you think the particular focus of this on people, places, and events in St. Louis Jewish history is filling such a need for the community?
Larry, I'm amazed at the response that this has gotten. I mean, everywhere I turn, people who I don't even think of as being regular readers of the Jewish side, oh, you've got a new column, is it called Cornucopia or Chronopedia? But people are talking about it. And I got one phone call from a guy saying the light has sort of neglected, the shoulders on which we stand. Our past is just very rich heritage. And having an ongoing feature about people, places, and things from that rich heritage, I think it really turns people on.
And we certainly by no means intend to ignore it or neglect in any way St. Louis Jewish history. And in fact, Konopedia is a reflection of our desire
Exactly.
to promote it and extol it. So that wraps up another week of Cop Talk with Bob Cohn and me, Larry Levitt. We hope you have a great week or two, and until next time, so long.
Thank you.